So CGI is pretty much, computer-generated imagery, right? So anything that is completely done within the computer, you can consider that as CGI. But when we say visual effects is a broader term, and CGI belongs to, CGI is one of the department within visual effects. Avatar is like one very well done movie, right? So they spent a lot of time, creating the film. So they spent roughly about 4 to 6 years for each of those episodes, and although it is completely CGI, which is computer generated film. So in order to make that happen, in order to create that precision, so a lot of technology was developed alongside filmmaking process. The whole point of visual effects is not getting noticed.
Oh, this is not fair.
So
Saying the good VFX is one which we don't know.
yeah, exactly. Like, that's when they have done really good VFX, because most of the visual effects work is invisible. Recently, we worked on a project called Wednesday Addams. So in Wednesday Addams, like there was
a series on it.
Yeah, that was a series on.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
On that film, like, we had like a lot of crowd in many shots, and in order to have n number of people in the scene on a daily basis, it's very expensive. We had CG crowd in pretty much like in many scenes that nobody even knew.
Welcome to the Life Grids conversation. We enjoy technology. And who has not enjoyed a movie from Mayabazar? You remember Kalyana Samayal Sadam? It's all such magical, no? We would love to understand the Charlie Chaplin or the Laurel and Hardy. Everywhere there was magic. And as a consumer, as a viewer, we enjoyed watching it. We would like to know behind the scenes, and we needed a guest. And guess what? We have Yash Gowda, the international star of VFX, who's taken India to the international forum. Welcome, Yash. So happy to have you. It's an honor for us that you are representing India in the global forum. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, we are going to have a very technical, very basic, all kind of conversation here. So in this first segment, I wanted to know, I don't know anything about VFX. And I'm sure there are zillion people who doesn't understand what is VFX. You are a pro in that. Can you just simplify what is VFX?
Yeah, so definitely. So when we say VFX, people think it's all about big explosions and, zombies or robots or, some of those fancy things. So VFX is anything that we add or remove or modify from the film. So that's pretty much VFX. It could be as simple as adding a rain or fire or removing a person walking, somehow, behind the scene.
Okay.
So it could be any of those kind of things.
Today, the phones are also doing that, right?
Yes.
So are you saying that normal people like us actually are eating into your profession?
So sorry. So visual effects is focused on doing modification on the films. Okay. So when you say phone, so you're doing more on a consumer level. Okay. So this is more of like 4K with like 16-bit, 32-bit images, because what you do on phone is pretty much 8-bit images. So which is I would say lower bit depth in terms of the pixel density. But when in terms of visual effects, we are working on something that has higher bit depth, like 16-bit or deeper in terms of like color information.
So you're saying that is a pro version of
yes
VFX, but we are doing something like a very baby step of what we are doing on a phone, deleting a person or deleting a background.
Absolutely.
But is this the basic?
100%.
Okay, so we are all a VFX professional.
Yes, right? Everybody are.
Oh, that's wonderful. And another question that I had was, see, earlier it used to be this camera tricks, right? Like the Charlie Chaplin movies or anything, it would be like he's jumping. But when we see the behind the scenes, it would be the camera trick. They would keep a something like that. In YouTube, you can Google and see the things. So there were camera tricks. So then in between, they started calling it as CGI.
Yes.
And there is something called special effects. And now it is VFX.
Yes.
Are these all same?
They're all similar, but they're not exactly same. I mean, at least, the words evolve. So this is also evolution of it. And so when we say special effects, those are more of practical effects. So practically, like, in front of the camera, you're doing like certain type of effects, like explosion or setting up certain things on fire or things like that. So the actual things that are done in front of the camera, so they are called as special effects.
Okay.
So, there is also camera effect again. So taking like two different films and filmed in a two different time or whatever, and you're just slicing them or compositing them in the post process. So even those are also considered as visual effects, but those are more of like on early stages of VFX. So now it's all done digitally. So whether we have used digital cameras or actual film cameras, so we still do all the special effects or visual effects digitally now, and that's what now they use the term visual effects for it.
So where is the CGI? Is all these things under an umbrella called CGI?
No, it's the opposite. So CGI is pretty much computer generated imagery, right? So anything that is completely done within the computer, you can consider that as CGI. But when we say visual effects is a broader term, and CGI belongs to, CGI is one of the department within visual effects. There are many things that we do, like, again, as I said, something like as simple as a removal of certain smaller elements from the film to, adding like or extension of like the environment to more grandeur or broader look to tell the story. So any of those things, including CGI. CGI is something that it could be like a CG character or creature or any other computer generated element that we're adding in and compositing into a live action footage. So that's why visual effects is a much broader term, and CGI is a part of it. But everything is very important, of course.
It's all the important element of today's movies and entertainment media industry. Generally, as a consumer for us, that from an Indian perspective, Avatar was the biggest for us when we realized what VFX could do, what all these animations and all these things could do. That is when, and we didn't even realize in the earlier stages, we thought he was really changing into kind of a thing, unless you're from the industry and things like that. How has that changed the viewer's experience in India?
Yeah, so definitely, like, so Avatar is like one very well done movie, right? So they spent a lot of time, creating the film. So they spent roughly about 4 to 6 years for each of those episodes, and so although it is completely CGI, which is computer generated film. So in order to make that happen, in order to create that precision, so a lot of technology was developed alongside filmmaking process. Okay. So, in order to create like realistic facial expressions and things like that, so they have used motion capture devices in order to capture those things from real humans who have real emotions, right? So capture that in order to copy that to a CG, a creature that is generated in CG, whether that's a creature or a human or whatever.
So you're saying if that creature becomes angry, first the human, the artist, has to show that she or he is angry, 100%. And then that was converted into the angry creature.
Yeah, that's right. Because you need a reference. Because see, when you are making any changes to, like, let's say a car, right? So if certain things are not done right, you still accept it as car, because it could be a part of the design, right? So nobody's going to say, oh, you know what, this car has like a bigger tire or a, smaller steering or whatever, it could be part of design. So nobody really care too much about it, right? Because those are like, we call them as like hard surface 3D elements. Okay. So it can be anything really. But when it comes to creatures,
And
it
human
could,
emotions.
creatures that includes humans. So we all convey certain type of emotion.
Okay.
And even like, in the film, Planet of the Apes, sorry, even in the film Planet of the Apes, so we have like chimps and gorillas and those, those type of creatures. They're still creatures, but they're still conveying emotion, right? In the real world, whether they convey the same emotion or not, but we are telling the story to the viewers who are humans, who like to understand the story in certain way.
Right.
So so in order to replicate that, we have to capture it. We need to have a reference material, right? So because even if there is a small difference in a conveying, like a certain type of emotion, so it's very easy to tell, like, what, this is not working. This is, like if I'm smiling, I can only smile in certain way.
Yeah.
If I'm angry, I can only be angry in certain way, right? So there could be variations of it, but still the emotion is an emotion. And so in order to do that, we have to have a reference material in order to be very precise. So that's why the final output, that what you see on screen, is just a final output. But in order to achieve that, there will be hundreds and hundreds of iterations that have gone through before they actually present that, right? So in order to even create those variations or hundreds of iterations, they have to do a lot of testing and trial and trial and error and those kind of things as well. So it's a very hard and intricate job.
The VFX and
Yes.
creating a beautiful art, which is a film that is made of computer generated images or VFX, is a harder thing than to make it with real humans and the real set and things like that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We thought that was easier.
No, it's not.
Okay. Again, from a consumer point, how do I know this is real, this is computer generated, or this is a special effect? How, as a consumer, can you take some references? Because Finding the Nemo was a pure animated movie.
Yes.
Or, it was more a 3D effect. It felt so real.
Yes.
But still, the Tom and Jerry is beautiful.
Yeah.
These are animations. Now, we don't know the line also. What is real and what is computer generated or VFX?
Yes.
With examples, if you can help us, a very layman, normal moviegoer.
Yeah.
What is real and what is VFX?
So, I mean, like, again, as I said, these are all like different type of art, right?
Okay.
So, like, or I would say a different medium of art, right? So, by the end of the day, goal is to convey the story. So, and as long as the director is very clear on his vision on what he wants to convey and in what medium he wants to convey, that's all it matters. So even like, since ancient times, there are different mediums. There are like shadow puppets or puppet show to, like, so like, exactly. Like communicating the story in different medium. And this is exactly the evolution of the same, right? So when you say Tom and Jerry, that is in a actual term, that is called as 2D animation. So in 2D animation, it has its own style.
Okay.
You can still convey all the emotions in its own way, in its own style, but that is limited to its own type of look. So there is nothing wrong with it. That is a style of its own.
Okay.
So we all respect that. At the same time, we have Finding Nemo, and Finding Nemo is like completely 3D. I would say that is a good example of CGI. So because that's completely generated using computers, right? So it's a computer generated imagery, and so that is basically like a 3D animation. That's the style of art. So then we have live action. Live action is just a regular whatever you film and you edit it and you screen that, and that's your film. So that's the live action, because it's all live and you just record it, and that's as simple as that.
So you basically get out of your computer, your studio, and you go to the real places and shoot with real people.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that is live action.
That's
so
live action.
At least that's the style of art, I would say.
Okay.
Although we shoot with real people and real camera, real light and everything. So so when it comes to VFX, it's sort of like it marries all of that, right?
Okay.
It could be a mix of all different types of art, right? And
So when two people are speaking and one bubble comes up,
yes,
so that is also comes under VFX.
yeah, that is a little bubble. Like, again, it depends on the style. Yeah, it is still a visual effects for
It's
sure.
still a visual
Yeah.
effect.
So, and there is the thing that you said, that is we call it as motion graphics.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is like a little division within visual effects, and that can be a style. It can be 2D style, where it could be as simple as like a line drawing with like a little bubble, or it could be as photorealistic as like a real bubble, which is like a photorealistic, but that is computer generated, right? So, and we integrate that so that for viewers it looks like it is shot through the same camera. So that's the whole art of it. So in order to be really good at this profession, so someone need to be they need to be good at cameras, and they need to understand the light and
So
the
are
color.
you guys techies or are you guys filmmakers?
It's pretty much a mix of all. Just again, as I said, it's a amalgamation of everything, right? So we need to be first artists, but at the same time we are technical. So we are technical artists. That's what actually in Hollywood they call us as. So they call us as technical artists, because we need to understand, like, for example, going back to the previous example, that we need to understand the camera first, how camera operates, how lens operate, or how it works. And in order to integrate certain CG elements within the film, we need to understand how the camera operates and exactly which camera it is, which lens it is, because every camera has its own way of recording, and every lens has its own type of distortion and its own style. So in order to create that and integrate a CG which doesn't have a camera, I mean, technically, we do have a virtual camera within 3D softwares, for example, but that's still a representation of camera. It's not a real camera, right?
Okay.
So we need to recreate the real world camera in 3D space, so that whatever it outputs matches to the real world camera. Again, there are different types of cameras, hundreds and hundreds of cameras available, because whatever we produce in computer, it's very precise. The line is always straight, black is always black, white is always white. It's very precise because it's computer. So that's all it knows. It's very precise. But in real world, nothing is perfect. Even like the walls that we see, they're not perfect. They're slightly wonky. They're like, an angle or whatever, right? So, but our human eyes won't be able to identify, as minor differences. But when we record certain things from the camera, so the lens has a distortion. So it distorts the image in certain way depending on what lenses that we use. So the camera, so the 3D camera, when it renders out anything out of a software in 2D form, because we use 3D world, which has its own 3D space, where we can create all the 3D elements, whether that could be as simple as like a ball to a creature or whatever, or you can create the whole world within 3D space. So those are all very perfect, very accurate. They're not distorted. None of those things are really
flaws.
no flaws, right? So we need to match to the real world. How do you match to the real world? You need to understand the light, how the light is hitting certain object, especially when you're integrating that to a live action film, which is, again, as I said, live action is like the real world, filming in a real world. So that has, on a character or whatever, on the environment, the light is going in a certain way, and it's the camera is recording it in a certain way, and everything is very particular to that specific shot.
Okay.
Right? So we need to recreate that in 3D space, so that when we output a 3D object into a 2D form, we call that as rendering.
Okay.
So we render that out. So so it has to match to the real world. So that's why we need to understand all of that technicalities before we become good artists.
So it's a 50-50. You're both technical and you're an artist. And that's where VFX becomes so believable that the viewer doesn't know the difference whether the rain is real or was it a added rain.
Yeah, 100%.
So no, hereafter there is no need for the real rain or the shower kind of a thing. You can add it.
Yeah.
But how will the drenched person look like? I mean, the artist should look drenched.
Yeah. So that's again, that's part of planning. So the production have to plan, and see, so VFX should, like, nobody should be just doing VFX for the sake of doing VFX, right?
Okay,
So it should be like to enhance the story or storytelling in general. That's the whole goal by the end of the day. So in whatever medium that we are telling the story.
But tell me, which is expensive, adding a rain or just putting water? I mean, pouring water through the cans. Which will be.
So like expensive wise, definitely, like, adding rain practically is very expensive. Because you can only, like, let's say on a practical set, you can set up a rain in a very controlled smaller environment or smaller area, right? But in order to tell the story properly, you want the whole environment to be like wet and like raining and drenched and everything like that. And how do you create that?
So environment responding to the rain, that also needs
to be considered. Exactly. So you see, like, if budget has no limitation, for sure, you can go rain the whole world, no problem. But I mean, at least in front of the camera, right? So but always, like, budget is going to be a limitation. Or sometimes it's also like, in North America, it's the insurance. There is insurance is a big part, and there is also like permission, city or the government.
Rain.
Yeah. For it could be for anything, right? Like, if you want to make certain things, like, or set something on a fire, right? So you can only set certain things on fire. You cannot set the whole city on fire, just for
but if the scene needed the entire city to be on fire,
so
that's where you are.
Yeah, exactly. So in that case, what we do is that, so again, it goes back to planning. And we only set certain things on fire which is very close to the camera, so that the actor or whoever, they get the interactive light or interactive, like, whatever, if we're talking about fire, it's more of a smoke or a, heat distortion or some other interactions, let's say,
with that element.
Yeah, with that element. So we need that. And also we need some reference for actors to act, right? So, this is where the fire is, right? I cannot just say, just imagine there is a fire right here, right? So it's very hard for them.
Face expression may not be the same unless they're great artists.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we want to make sure, like, their job is easy as well. So, so you set it up in the foreground, like, minimally, so that everything in the background can be extended later with all the fire.
So we've all grown up, at least my generation have grown up seeing Mayabazar. I don't know if you have watched it. In that, there is a scene like this guy, he will be eating laddus, everything that's prepared. All the chakli, murku, everything, puliogre, everything he'll be eating. And it was so fascinating to see. And from there, we have come to RRR, which has won, the global recognition. And today, we don't know the difference between real and what is VFX. How do you see the evolution, and can you explain how it moved and wherever we are today?
Yeah, so definitely. So yeah, at that time, so that's almost like 70 years ago. So they were doing a lot of practical effects. So it could be, like, if you remember, like, there used to be like street dramas, right? So there used to be like a curtain with like a lot of painting in the wall and things like that. So that is also part, technically that's like very early stage of VFX, right? So but those are very practical, so, and very primitive. So a lot of those type of practical effects were used, and also, like, in the Laddu scene. So it was all like very like, how do I say?
Is it a camera trick?
Yeah, so these are more of like a camera trick, and they reversed, whatever the action that happened there.
Basically, the laddus are falling down,
Yeah.
and it is being reversed to make it look like it is going in.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting. And also, like, having like doing 2 takes for like multiple actors, and having like composite them by having like exposing the images one on the left first, and just exposing and recreating the film, and again, like, covering the other side and exposing the other side again. So doing this type of like a compositing, but during the actual negative exposing, or what's the terminology there? So
No worries. I think
yeah.
anyway, viewers like me wouldn't understand or are not demeaning. There is a segment we will talk completely technical, but at least here there is something. It's planned,
Yeah.
and it is also clearly defined and created with real people and the real things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because in the same movie or even in many movies, in the usually all the spooky movies, the ghost movies, suddenly the ghost will come and all these things. So these from that is where we all have come to the Triple R or Avatar, and now we have started consuming more content. Now we know it, but still we enjoy the old nostalgic things.
Yeah.
So how do a consumer know? Again, I think I'm asking you the same question, like, how will I know this is real or not?
Yeah, so basically, like, if the consumer, like, the whole point of visual effects is not getting noticed.
Oh,
So
this is not
so-
fair. So
so-
you're saying the good VFX is one which we don't observe.
yeah, exactly. Like, that's when they have done really good VFX, because most of the visual effects work is invisible. So if it is actually the whole point is not standing out.
Okay.
If it is standing out, which means
In that case, I had to ask you, please enlighten us with some places where we thought it is real or we didn't even realize, but that was VFX. Do you have any references like that? Anything recent in your Hollywood movies?
Yeah. So, like, I mean, in many films, like recently we worked on a project called Wednesday Addams.
Okay.
So in Wednesday Addams, like there were like
series on Netflix.
Yeah, that was a series on Netflix.
Okay.
So on that film, like, we had like a lot of crowd in many shots, and in order to have n number of people in the scene on a daily basis, it's very expensive. So like we had CG crowd in pretty much like in many scenes that nobody even knew.
Okay.
Yeah, so those type of things, those are like really invisible, and when you want like thousands of people who are just standing there or protesting or doing things like that, so how would you make them, right? So, or nobody even notices it.
Okay.
So, or things like that, or it could be even like
So the Bahubali, any references where you thought this was real but it was not real? Anything like that?
So a lot of background mountains and things.
Yeah,
like
that too. One scene where he keeps jumping, and
Yeah.
we thought, wow, how strong he is.
Yeah. So those are all like recreated
was
digitally.
strong?
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Strong. He was strong, but like the artists behind it were like definitely
stronger.
I mean, they definitely helped the story.
Interesting. So it was actually, what was he climbing then?
So like they will have like a practical again, like going back to the fire example that I said earlier. So anything that's in the very foreground, close up where people are interacting, so we always prefer having things practically.
Okay.
So anything that they interact, so it could be like a bigger
Steps.
boulder or a step or a rope that they're holding or anything as
Safe
such.
advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So almost all the stunt scenes are also today, is it VFX?
Yeah, 100%. So again, like sometimes, previously I mentioned, sometimes we do certain things for insurance reasons too. So in North America, like even if certain things are safe enough to, like, let's say walking on the, like edge of a building or whatever. I mean, I know it's not safe, but like let's say it's not that dangerous or any situation like that. But for insurance reasons, they still need to have a rope. So just in case if something happens.
So when you have to delete that rope?
Yeah. So we just have to delete the rope or, things like that. So, and
he'd look as if he is
yeah,
on the edge of the thing.
exactly.
Even though artists can do it, but there it is not allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
How is it in India?
So in India, like, if it's something is doable, they still
do it.
Yeah, they do it.
Without the harness.
Yeah, without the harness sometimes. And, of course, I have seen in, many, media, like news and things like that, there are some specific heroes that, they would want to perform and, without wires and things like that.
We spoke about movies, the larger than life things. But today, the things that day-to-day we interact on Instagram Reels and in other countries, TikTok, or even the ads that we see, how much of it, again, are VFX? What percentage today we are at VFX done? stuff?
So VFX could be pretty much anything that you can think. Like, we work on a lot of TV ads as well. And, we do a lot of cosmetic work too, like removing like someone's imperfections, like maybe acne or some other scar, or sometimes adding it too. So for the
Show the before.
yeah, before and after, or sometimes even for the betterment of the story. Maybe the person was a bad guy or something, right? So adding like wounds or like things like that, or removing stretch marks and things like that. So it could be as simple as that. But we do it on a bigger scale, like for film and ads and things like that. But these days, pretty much these things are available on smartphone. There are a lot of apps to do this, and
Filters.
filters, and this is very common these days. You almost don't see anything that is untouched.
What is one thing you get so irritated, you being there and people just moving here and there, using the small apps and doing things, and they say that, yeah, I too can remove. How do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, like it's as long as it serves the purpose, because see, by the end of the day, what you do on phone is actually good for phone, like, the resolution wise or
The technical
whatever.
thing
Yeah,
that you explained.
yeah. So we are, since we see that more on a technical side, we do know that it has its own limitation. And so even like a lot of AI generated content that you see these days,
Yes.
yeah, they're 8-bit and they're good enough for phone.
But
Like, not for
but
like.
if the end goal is just to show it on the phone and feel good factor.
Yeah, exactly.
enjoy
Go for it, right? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. This was a beautiful, very basic segment that we had. And the next segment, we will talk about aspiring VFX artists, because VFX today, people do a animation course or a VFX course. There are a lot of courses in India, Bangalore. Every road has an institute. So we'll talk about those aspiring people who are taking those courses. And also, that segment will talk more about people who are in the industry. Let's talk something very technical, which is very close to your heart. We'll meet in that segment.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yash, for covering the basics of what is VFX and the difference between CGI and special effects.
Thank you so much for having me, Krithika. Thank you.